Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Midas Letter RAW.
Monday.
What a show, what a show, what a week, what a week, what a week. It's going to be insane. Let's see. We've got Deepak Anand is going to be joining us today. Yes, here I am going right within the first 30 seconds into what's happening today. Oh my God, we're getting so much better at this. It's incredible. Headline News will be here at 3:05 with Ricky Gerwitz, of course. Robert Groesbeck, the CEO of Planet 13 Holdings, will be here to talk about his deal with Mike Tyson and Tyson Ranch. Ryan Smith joined us from LeafLink, which there was an announcement today about LeafLink and Canopy Rivers partnering up. And then Narbe Alexandrian is going to be here. Alexandrian, my apologies, is president of Canopy Rivers, will be here to further elaborate on that transaction. Market close charts with our erstwhile ultimate analyst, and special ed Milewski. And then Deepak Anand, I already said he'll be here at 4:10 to talk about his role with Cannabis and other international things happening in the space. Ed, there's been quite an interesting couple of developments. I was looking at the press release actually, Canopy Rivers and LeafLink, and these guys are you familiar with DionyMed? Symbol DYME on the CNX. They're basically a behind-the-scenes sort of logistics fulfillment enterprise that does a lot of the IT work and fulfillment for California delivery services. Boy, I'm really adept on that deal.
Wow.
Anyways,
no, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm a little more familiar.
Peltz is the CEO, a bunch of Silicon Valley guys, really interesting company, and we're going to invite them because on April 28th, which is 1 week from this Thursday, we're doing a live shoot from the YouTube studios in Los Angeles. And so all of you California growers and dispensaries and bakers and extractors and jujus and gummies and cookie makers, you're all invited. We're going to be shooting all day, and so we'll be at the YouTube studio in Los Angeles, just outside of Silicon Beach. Actually, it's right in Silicon Beach. Anyways, that's next Thursday. There could be some celebrity participation in what we're doing. We don't know yet, but we're expecting Mike Tyson will be joining us. But we're going to interview Mike Tyson in Las Vegas at the opening of Planet 13's new entertainment complex. So we've got. Actually, I didn't. Why did I not see?
I didn't see my airfare, my air ticket in the mail lately.
No, you got to hold down the fort here.
Oh, okay. Well, why do I care about this then?
Because you got the place to yourself.
Oh, good.
Cat's away.
I wanted to say Mike Tyson was my boxing hero as a youngster. I thought Mike Tyson. And I'm just saying it.
You're just saying this because you're trying to get
Iron Mike Tyson gave me goosebumps when he stepped into the ring as a young heavyweight. He was extremely formidable, and back in the day, you couldn't I mean, this guy was a killer. He got in the ring, and boom, and down you went.
Wow.
It was exciting. And back in the day, you had to go to an arena to watch the fight.
No kidding.
They didn't have this pay-per-view.
Right.
Anyway.
And didn't there used to be shootouts at those fights?
Well, we're in a little arena in London, Ontario. I mean, just saying. Anyway.
All right.
Iron Mike.
Iron Mike Tyson. Okay, so just for kicks, I'm going to try something really wild here.
Okay.
First, I'm going to turn on my NDI.
Okay.
Then I'm going to kill my mail.
Okay.
Then I'm going to pull up, now try not to get too excited, I'm going to pull up the Midas Letter indices. Do you know why that index had that big jump last week? Because Aurora, the number 2 capitalized company on the large cap index, increased in value by $2.7 billion in 2 days.
Okay. Is that what it was? I don't know. Was it?
Huh? So we couldn't even figure that out. Like, that's how dumb we are.
Are you sure?
What do you mean, am I sure?
Okay.
Yeah. It's responsible. I mean, so that The large
It's
cap
over
index is
$13
weighted.
now. It's over $13. It hit $13.40 or $13.50, so it must be up again.
And the large cap index is weighted. So obviously, Aurora being the number 2 by market cap on the index is going to have a huge effect on the index as a whole.
Sure.
Because it's probably 25% of the index.
I got to think. I was just thinking about this. You know how that transaction has added whatever the amount is, several $billion of value to Aurora?
Yeah.
Do you think there's other companies out there thinking, Nelson Peltz, who can we get? No, I'm just saying, if you were sitting there and you thought, wait a minute, this company just did a leapfrog, what did they do?
Just hired a guy and gave him 10 million options.
On the income statement, there will be an expense for those options, okay? It's a non-cash item.
Come on, look.
But there's a cost to the company.
Yeah.
Okay? And there'll be I'll find an income statement and I'll show you sometime.
All right.
Maybe when you're in Vegas.
Let's throw it over to news nurse Ricky Gerwitz with the news.
Here are the headlines moving markets today. Canopy Rivers Inc. and LeafLink Inc. announced the establishment of LeafLink Services International ULC. The new venture exclusively licenses and leverages LeafLink's dominant business-to-business marketplace and supply chain technology platform for deployment through regulated international cannabis markets. iAnthus Capital Holdings Inc. has completed the private placement offering of $35 million of unsecured convertible notes and corresponding warrants to 3 investors. The proceeds from the offering will be applied to continue the build-out of facilities across the company's 11-state footprint. iAnthus has issued units consisting of $35 million aggregate principal amount of unsecured convertible notes with a maturity date of 4 years and over 2 million warrants to purchase common shares of the company. Cresco Labs Inc. is entering the Florida market. The company has signed a letter of agreement to acquire the ownership interests or assets of VitaCann Limited, one of the largest and most advanced providers of medical cannabis in Florida. Curaleaf Holdings Inc. has signed a definitive agreement to acquire Acres Cannabis. With over 260,000 square feet of operating cultivation facilities and further expansion as needed on its 37 acres of land in Nevada, Acres operates the state's largest cultivation facility and a production and extraction lab. TerraSend Corp announced an estimated preliminary fourth quarter revenue of 4.8 million Canadian dollars and a full year revenue of 6.6 million Canadian dollars for the year ending on December 31st, 2018. Other highlights include, over this period, they were awarded the right to a vertically integrated license in New Jersey. They completed the acquisition of Grandeur Distribution and entered a multi-year supply agreement with Farmhouse. Aleafia Health Inc. announced the results of a medical cannabis patient study examining the changes in employment and disability status among medical cannabis patients. The study of 4,000 patients found a mild net improvement in employment after starting medical cannabis treatment, along with a reduction in unemployment and self-identified disability preventing employment. The vast majority of patients reported suffering from chronic illnesses, including pain, anxiety, and depression. Epileptic patients were the most likely to see improvements in their labor status. Ascent Industries Corp., together with its subsidiaries, has entered into an asset purchase agreement with BZAM Management Limited. Ascent Industries signed the agreement to sell all of its Canadian assets for cash, and BZAM Management has agreed to purchase a greenhouse located in Pitt Meadows, British Columbia. Ascent, through its subsidiaries, will continue to own the assets related to Ascent's cannabis cultivation, production, distribution, research, and product development business outside of Canada in Oregon, Nevada, and Denmark. Blisco Cannabis Corp. has signed a supply agreement with AGLC that includes renewal options. Origin House's subsidiary, Trichome Financial Corp., has entered into a $2 million financing arrangement with CGS Foods, a licensed Ontario cannabis retailer. Conjiga House was one of only 25 winners of the recent lottery conducted by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, and is one of the first 5 to receive its cannabis retail operator license and retail store authorization. DionyMed Brands has been approved to be quoted on the OTCQB venture market, and will trade under the symbol HMDEF effective immediately. Fire and Flower Holdings Corp. has launched its e-commerce platform to sell adult-use recreational cannabis to customers in the province of Saskatchewan and accessory products to customers across Canada. Harvest One Cannabis, through its wholly owned subsidiary, United Greeneries Limited, has entered into an agreement to become a medical cannabis supplier to Shoppers Drug Mart. Under the terms of the agreement, Harvest One will supply Shoppers Drug Mart with Satifarm branded medical cannabis products. The products will be sold online. The Flower Corporation announced its Flower RX products are also now available for purchase through Shoppers Drug Mart's online medical cannabis site. Green Growth Brands Inc. announced the opening of 2 new CBD shops located in Indianapolis, Indiana, and in Louisville, Kentucky. Namaste Technologies Inc. has announced the appointment of Baker Tilly WM LLP as its auditor, replacing PricewaterhouseCoopers, which recently resigned as its former auditor. Cannabis Global Inc. is now licensed to process and sell cannabis oil products in Canada. The license enables Cannabis to now sell cannabis oil produced at its New Brunswick facility, one of the largest indoor cannabis growing facilities in Canada, where Cannabis was already processing oil. And that's your news for today.
Yeah, Curaleaf buying acres. 37 acres of land in the Armogosa Valley in Nevada. So that's Curaleaf stepping outside of Florida. Has Curaleaf always been outside of Florida?
Yeah.
We need to get John Mueller in here, the CEO of Curaleaf, to give us an elaboration. Ricky, if you're listening, we want John Mueller from Curaleaf tomorrow. Oh, perfect, perfect. Alethea. Interesting that, I love the way they worded this press release, that the results of the medical cannabis study have determined that people who switch to cannabis for their disability medicine get more employment, which is contrary to what the moral majority, conventional wisdom has always been towards cannabis, that if you're a cannabis user, you're a lazy son bitch.
But maybe if I think you're lazier on THC than CBD, right? Is that a fair?
CBD makes me want to vacuum the house.
Yeah, exactly.
THC makes me want to lie down.
No. THC, CBD wants you to vacuum the house.
Yeah.
CBD wants you to have someone else vacuum the house. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you feel comfortable saying that CBD, hey, let's get some stuff done. THC, let's have someone else do it.
Well, actually, it depends. You know, like I used to like to take apart motors and put them back together.
Motors?
Much to my father's chagrin, yes. Because occasionally I'd take one apart and be like, where did this thing go again?
Yeah.
But, you know, that was a great job to do while you were high. Like eventually when I was in my 20s, I used to rebuild all my own engines on my pickup truck. And I always had Chevy and Ford pickup trucks, so they're really easy to deal with.
Wow.
But I used to love to get high and tinker with the engine.
Right.
Let's take a look at some of our indexes today, Ed. The cannabis market as a whole is
Up and away.
Up and away. Uh-oh, I don't see anything on my NDI.
You know, the HMMJ is at a 3-month high for sure.
HMMJ?
And now it's at a 6-month high.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's actually at about a 9-month high.
The HMMJ?
No, 6-month high.
Don't say.
Yeah, 6-month high.
Why did my
darn
thing stop working again? Let's see if it was in fact because I'm up. That's funny, the NDI is not even on. Impossible. Look at that. How is this happening? My NDI is, okay, now my NDI is on. And now I've clicked on my NDI. Okay, there we go. So looking at these indexes, look at that. Large cap index is up almost 2% on the day. And powering through the last, you're almost going to hit the highs that we saw in just before October 17th.
Yeah.
Which, let's see here, that was Monday, October. Well, let's go look at the big full screen page so we don't have this muckety muck. Okay, so it was on October 16th that the large cap index touched a high of 13,390, and today we are flirting with 12,400-ish. So we're getting back up there.
Listen, I'm looking at and I want to commend you on your index because the HMMJ is up just over 2%, which is the big,
So we finally got the programming right. Pulling out to the 5-year view here on the large cap index, you can see that we are flirting with an all-time high again, which is incredible because, the question at this point in the game is going to be, is this going to actually be one of those summers where we pile on value? Or is this the beginning of we're still 2 months away from May. Will we go away in May and live to fight another day? That's the big question, Ed. What are you seeing in the S&P?
It's grinding higher. It's grinding higher. And the last comment that Dan, the charting man, made last week when we interviewed him, you see, no, that's not it. That's the H. Okay. Oh, you guys put the spotlight on me. I get nervous. Here we go. So look, it's clearly now above there, and here. We're just slightly above it. So we're sort of moving into blue sky. I think it looks like we're getting set up here to make an assault on this high here. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
So markets seem to be climbing a wall of worry because there's lots of extraneous issues out there that make people go, holy shit, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to deal with that? But I think the U.S. has got a very low unemployment rate right now, and they're firing on all cylinders. The economy's hot.
Yeah. Recently joined client of ours, Chiron Life Sciences, and an investee in which I am way up, is also flirting with all-time highs as it heads through 380 today.
Yeah, I think it hit 390 at one point, getting close to that $4 barrier.
Hit 390, and I spoke to the president, Chris Naprawa, today, who they were present at a cosmetics event conference in Italy that was at which they were very well received.
Really?
And so, yeah. And so among the reasons for Chiron to be, making headway is the fact that it is rolling out its global cosmeceutical strategy. And this is a term that you might not have heard, but cosmeceuticals, what do you think that means?
Cosmeceuticals?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to take a wild guess.
All right.
I think it means sort of like cosmetics and pharmaceuticals that are combined.
Oh, ding, 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 winner, winner,
I wasn't
chicken dinner.
finished.
Well, that was good enough.
Okay.
You were going to ruin it if you kept going.
I know, I probably, yeah.
No, well, so they're basically, the idea is that these are cosmetics that have a nutritional, beneficial pharmaceutical, but not pharmaceutical. No health claims are being made. If you made a health claim, then it would suddenly be a pharmaceutical. So because it's cosmetics and you're not making any specific health claims, apart from studies seem to indicate that CBD is good for your health and wellness generally, which they don't need to make that claim. There's plenty of folks out there making that claim for them. But this is one of the areas where I thought, okay, so Canopy Growth, they've got their Constellation brands. Kronos Group, they've got their Altria Group.
Right.
Tilray, got their big pharmaceutical, what the hell are they called again, Sanofi? Am I screwing that up? Anyways, but where is the big giant cosmetic firm in all of this? Where is the Estee Lauder? Or more importantly, or even bigger still, L'Oreal.
L'Oreal.
Yeah, L'Oreal's the granddaddy.
Yeah.
So this is why, again, we are not to be trusted because we are shareholders and they are a client of ours.
So would a cosmetic company get involved only from a topical?
Sorry, say it again?
A cosmetic company would only be involved in cannabis as a topical.
Yes.
Like on the skin.
Yes.
As opposed to ingestion.
Well, you could eat it.
You could lick your hand or something.
Yeah. Well, like cats do.
Okay.
Or you could be like a raccoon and wash your food in the water with that look on your face. You got any raccoons in your neighborhood, Ed?
Well, we used to.
Really? I'm going to be talking to the CEO of Planet 13 in just a minute, but check this out.
Planet 13 Holdings is a vertically integrated cannabis company based in Nevada. The company has production and dispensary operations in Las Vegas, selling both recreational and medical product lines. Planet 13 Holdings opened its Planet 13 Superstore in November 2018. Located in close proximity to the Las Vegas Strip and housed in a 100,000 square foot commercial space, the Superstore is the largest cannabis entertainment complex located in Las Vegas. Planet 13 Holdings trades on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the symbol PLTH.
Robert Groesbeck joins me now via Skype from Las Vegas, Nevada. He's the CEO of Planet 13 Holdings, trading on the CSE under the symbol PLTH. Robert, welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate having me back again.
Robert, you guys have been making some great strides. You've signed a purchase agreement with Mike Tyson. You've started construction of your 2,000 square foot event space. Why don't you give me a full update on what kind of progress you made since you were here last, back in, I guess it was the fall last year?
Well, we made tremendous progress. The expansion, actually, phase 2 is 23,000 square feet. So 4,500 square feet of that is devoted to the new restaurant, a coffee shop complex. Then we have an event space. We move into a merchandise store, and then about a 50,000 production expansion. So pretty ambitious, pretty excited. We're hopeful that we'll get that open early July.
Right. Great. How many visitors are coming through the space right now?
Well, we announced to the market last month, I think paid tickets were just a little over 1,700 a day. Actual traffic through the facility, just a little bit over 2,400 a day. So
Wow.
We've seen significant uptick in March. So it's projecting and it's trending exactly like we thought it would.
Well, fantastic. So do most of these people come through and buy cannabis products?
Well, most of them do, as evidenced by the paid tickets. But a lot of people, they're here as tourists. They're with friends. They may be curious about the facility. They come over in rideshare, cab, or whatever the case may be, or even walk. And, not all of them necessarily going to the dispensary to buy. So really what we want to do is create that avenue or that opportunity for them to spend elsewhere in the complex. And that's really what, that's the impetus behind the restaurant, the retail store, and then of course, again, tying in the production facility where the customer who maybe not, is not in the dispensary buying, but is actually watching how products are manufactured. And maybe that will incentivize them to come across the hallway and buy as well. So again, we're very excited, where things are trending. It's exactly what we thought it would be. And March, we think it's going to be just a fantastic month for us.
Mm-hmm. Great. The state of Alaska was the first state to actually legalize the consumption of cannabis in a public social environment. And I'm curious as to whether you think that might be something that could happen in Nevada anytime soon. And if it did, I'm imagining it would really help your business.
Well, we think it will. The operative word is, how do you define soon? For us, it's not a question of if now, it's a question of when. We're optimistic now that the various government leaders have come together and recognized that we've got a serious void here in Nevada, in that we encourage tourist customers over 21 years of age to purchase cannabis products, and yet we provide them with no legal ability to consume those products. So I think there is now a consensus amongst the government types. We're working with the state of Nevada and Governor Sisolak as well to create uniform standards throughout the state. I think what we want to do is avoid cannabis lounges popping up in every neighborhood, adjacent to taverns. That was never the intent. The intent was really to create a vehicle or a venue for the tourist customer to use products responsibly and then get back to the hotel rooms. We're the logical choice for that. We are closest to the heart of the Strip. We have the room grow and build a first-class lounge. So we're optimistic. We think there's been a lot of progress. So we're hopeful that it'll be sooner around.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that you offer free rides to Planet 13 from certain locations in Nevada. Has that been helpful in getting people to come and visit you?
Oh yeah, it's been very helpful. And again, it's primarily leaving the facility. We generate a huge amount of traffic through rideshare and through cabs, but sometimes it gets incredibly busy. Customers, they want to get out of the facility when they leave as quickly as they can. And we offer that amenity through our wrap van service. We'll take them to designated drop-offs adjacent to the strip. So it's worked really well. They really like it, and it's great advertising for us as well.
Yeah. Are there other facilities in Vegas that you have to compete with in terms of providing this sort of live cannabis curated experience?
Well, I consider everybody that's a licensed operator a competitor. It's just the extent of that competition. We're unique. I think we set ourselves aside from the rest of the pack by virtue of our size, our proximity to the strip, and the various interactive offerings that we provide at the facility. So we're different. It's hard because we're not really comparing apples to oranges.
Right. So you also produce your own, you also cultivate your own cannabis, extract and make extracted products?
We do. We offer our medicine line, which is we can't keep in stock. Our vape pens are probably the best in the industry. I may be a bit biased, of course, but based on the feedback from our customers, I think it's unmatched. Our new trendy line came into the market in the latter part of November. We've had phenomenal success with that. That's geared more toward the tourist customer. It's a disposable cartridge, disposable vape pen, and we just had tremendous positive feedback on that. So that really, those two lines in particular, the impetus behind the expansion of our production facility. We just can't meet the demand. So we're going to take it head on and not only supply the superstore, but we'll now have the ability to wholesale our products throughout the rest of the state.
Yeah. Tell me about your deal with boxing legend Mike Tyson. How present is he going to be at Planet 13?
Well, we're really excited to have that agreement in place with Mike and his team. The Tyson Ranch product line, I think, is going to be exceptional, and we're honored to have him launch that in Nevada. Basically a worldwide launch out of the largest dispensary on planet Earth. So we think that's going to be a long-term relationship. We're really excited, about that. Mike has a passion for all things cannabis, as does his team, and they manufacture products to the standards that we expect, for our customers coming out of this facility. So we couldn't be any happier. Again, it's a great launch, and we're really excited about what it brings to both groups going forward.
Awesome. So I'm wondering, if we came down there for your opening on April 13th with our film crew, would it be possible to organize an interview with yourself and Mike Tyson?
I'm reasonably confident we can get you an interview with Mike when he's here for sure.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Very.
Yeah, I think his celebrity involvement in your operation is pure genius. Now, where is Tyson Ranch, and what is he doing? What's he exactly doing there? Is he growing cannabis, making extracted products?
Well, I don't know all the inner workings of Tyson Ranch and what they're doing. They've got very ambitious plans as well. They're down in the Palm Springs area. So they've got a campus setting. They've got very ambitious plans of creating basically an entertainment complex similar to what we're doing here in Nevada. And I'll let Mike and his team speak to that, but very exciting. We share a lot of commonality on how we want to market, the customers we're looking for, and the experiences that we want to provide to our customers respectively. So. Again, very excited about what they're doing and the ability to partner with them on launching in Las Vegas.
Sure. All right. Well, that's great, Robert. I will reach out to you soon and get more organized on our visit to your facility. But congratulations on everything you've done. You're making incredible progress, and I can't wait to see the place for myself in April.
Can't wait to see you down here and show it to you firsthand. Thank you very much.
Bye for now. If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. Yeah. Planet 13, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, they seem to be very pleased with what's going on in terms of their operation there.
Yeah.
Like they can't keep up.
No. No, that's just it. They're selling out of all the good stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about the bad stuff?
They don't have any bad stuff.
Okay.
It's all good stuff.
Good.
It's Nevada. Nothing good happens in Nevada. I mean, nothing bad happens. No, nothing bad happens in Nevada.
Nothing happens.
Nothing.
Nothing happens there.
No.
Because what happens there stays there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Have you been to Sin City lately, Ed?
No, I've turned down several offers to go there. I have a bunch of buddies down from London, Ontario that go every fall, coinciding with the starting of the football season. They like to get down there, where all the action is.
Yeah.
We like to bet.
Yeah. Go drinking. Now you can go drinking and smoking in Vegas. What do you think of that?
Jeez. Well,
No, eh?
you can do that here in Toronto.
Yeah, but it's freezing cold. Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
At least in the desert, you can wear like shorts, flip-flops, and a t-shirt, and then go swimming at wet. Actually, go drinking at wet, more like it. What's your favorite place in Vegas? Favorite hangout?
You know what? I wouldn't say. I wouldn't know how to answer that. I would say.
I like Nobu at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Nobu. That's a sushi joint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's kind of like, that's not really very Vegas. I'm like, yeah, that's what I like about it. Another good place. Have you been to Jose Andres' spot, Jalea?
Nope.
Spanish tapas? Oh,
Nope.
Best paella in the country.
Paella.
Paella.
Is that sort of like a mixed
It's a rice dish.
paella?
Made with bombalero rice.
Bom-
Bombalero! No, that's not right.
No, that. Hey,
Anyways,
okay.
yeah. Did you, let's see here. Let's see how we're doing with the old NDI system. We're still on.
We got a rockin' day in the marijuana sector.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to get back to the live.
Our harvest
feed.
one is up 21%.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Yeah. Oxley Cannabis is up 8%.
But look what's really up. Harvest 1.
That's what I just said. Is there an echo in here?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was Oxley for some reason. I was going to be like, whoa.
HVT, yeah. Let me just put up a chart of that.
You know why Harvest 1 is up so high? Because everybody's confusing it with the Harvest that took over the other company, Valero. Do you think that's why?
Well, I'm not going to tell.
It wouldn't be strange. I mean, has Harvest put out any news today? Let's go take a quick look at Harvest
Whoa.
Newsfeed. What? What are you looking at?
Harvest one's up from 60 cents 2 weeks ago, hit $1. Mm-hmm. And that's, wow.
Wow.
That's on the biggest volume by far in the last year.
Harvest is up 22%. Viridium Pacific Group is up 22%. Revive Therapeutics up 16%. Evenco, look at that, breaking 44.
Evenco?
Eve and Co.
That's related to Steve and Co.
Nope, just Evenco. Oh, and the thing is not working on this stupid goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Let's see who the worst performers on the venture index are. Calyx Ventures down 16%. That's a 3-center. Nutrisci International. Remember those candies that made us all edgy? 9 cents.
Oh,
Down
penny.
10%.
Nutrisci.
Yes.
Yeah, well, those guys.
Zomedica Pharmaceuticals down 9%, 10 cents to $1. Vitality Products down 6.7%. Invictus down 4.26%. Blockstream Technologies down 3.64%. Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of blood. Look at Namaste, all the way down to 76 cents.
Yeah, what's your gut there?
Well, the company's gone radio silence. The drama with the former CEO Sean Dollinger seems to be petering out.
Abating, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised because his uncle Seppi was still on the board, and he's gone now too. So I think that's a pretty thorough purge. Now, I think you have to just sit back and give Namaste time to, do whatever they're going to do with the business.
Yeah.
And you can't really make an assessment of how the new management's doing based on the fact that, it's still early days for them. So we're gonna reserve judgment and see if Namaste can pull a rabbit out of the proverbial hat. Pure Global Cannabis, that one never really got the rock and the roll.
Namaste is still capped at 240 million.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's 300 million shares at least, according to this. So that's a big number. I don't know what their. I haven't taken a close look at their last statements, but
Yeah. Let's go look at some. Let's go see what's happening on the CSE index, which is pretty action-packed today. Up $1.58 at this point, 1.58% to 23.91. CSE 2 actually at this point, closely mimicking the action in the large cap index. Why is that? Well, because so many of the CSE companies are now large caps.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we got a whole bunch of action, but anyways, best performer on the CSE today is Koios Beverage. Still waiting for some more meat on the bone with that Walmart transaction. Haven't heard anything further. C21 Investments up 14.6% to $1.80, up 23 cents. Boy, you could have bought that cheap and ridden it higher.
Well, yeah, that gave you an opportunity to get back in after that first launch to around $2. Mm-hmm. Look at this.
Yeah. The heavy promote has started on ICC International Cannabis, up 8% or 3 cents to 34. Quadron Canatech, I don't even know what that is. Nutritional High, up 2 cents to 29 cents. Believe, look at Believe, struggling still there at 10 cents. Valens Growworks, $3.19, flirting with all-time highs, I believe. Let's take a quick look at the Valens Growworks chart.
I'm just putting up the chart. You're reading my mind here.
Really? Look at me. There it is.
Wow.
There's the chart.
Yeah.
I
got it
so
up
there
here.
it is. Almost, the all-time high for Valens Grow was $3.19. Oh, sorry, $3.44 on February 27th.
And after reaching that, it's sold off, but now it's trying to make another assault.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like climbing Mount Everest, trying to make it to the summit.
Yeah. All-time high.
Wow.
Well, see, there you go. Valens Grow. All right, so Canopy Rivers just created a new venture with LeafLink, and we'll be talking to the CEO of LeafLink in just a second, but first this.
LeafLink Inc. is the cannabis industry's leading wholesale marketplace, serving more than 950 brands and 2,800 retailers across 16 territories, with streamlined business tools such as an order management system, CRM, inventory tracking, and reporting systems. LeafLink has raised more than $14 million US and is backed by venture capital firms and strategic investors such as Lehrer Hippo, Nosara, and Casa Verde Capital. LeafLink has its headquarters in New York City and Los Angeles.
Ryan Smith, co-founder and CEO of LeafLink Inc. joins me now. Ryan, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Good. Ryan, LeafLink has come out of nowhere and suddenly is, like, that's quite a press release. It says that you're serving more than 950 brands to 2,800 retailers in 16 territories in the U.S. Tell me about your business.
Yeah, so we've been hard at work here for just about the last 3 years building a B2B wholesale marketplace. And our entire goal is to really streamline how transactions happen between, as you said, retailers, dispensaries, and leading brands in the cannabis space.
Right. Okay. So you actually you supply 2,900 dispensaries currently?
So the way our platform works is we are a technology platform. So imagine there are brands and retailers like, for example, Kiva, Venice Cookie Company, Wana, that sell their products using our platform, and then they handle, the logistics and the delivery of that product. So we're not warehousing or physically selling it ourselves, but we're providing the connections online for people who are.
Ah, I see. So
Yep.
How does the economics work? Do you get a cut of every transaction?
Yeah, so there's a few revenue lines that we have on the platform. To date, we've been really a SaaS-enabled marketplace, so we charge a monthly fee to brands to be on the platform. We recently have now ad opportunities, as well as a few other revenue lines coming out around about moving capital. So there are some limitations around taking a straight transaction fee, so we haven't historically done that.
Sure. And how does your collaboration with Canopy Rivers work?
Yeah, so it's a really it's an exciting joint venture that we're excited to be a part of with Canopy Rivers, in that they have this incredible strategic network that they can tap into on, I think, over now a dozen countries that they are launching operations in with Canopy Growth. And then from our side, really exciting that we've built this technology with in hand all of our partners that are already live in the space and have been working hard to scale their own businesses. And so in this very complementary relationship now, we can bring all of those learnings on both sides to these new markets. That's really the goal behind it. It was a perfect strategic investment from both companies to help achieve that.
Fantastic. So then what is the next sort of stage of evolution for LeafLink and in the context of the Canopy Rivers partnership?
Yeah, so obviously now that we have these great partners with an international footprint, we'll be looking to and strategizing over the next couple months on how to open up operations and bring the things that we've created for the supply chain domestically to these international markets. And what's exciting about that is we're really now building in efficiencies that some of these international territories may not need to make mistakes over the next 2, 3, 5 years. We can bring them those solutions right from the get-go, and that will allow companies to continue to grow, mainstream the industry, and then which countries we pick, all this is to be determined and set out. But obviously, Canada, Germany, UK are some of the ones amongst the top of the list.
Does the association with Canopy Rivers imply that you have to give Canopy Growth products a preferential treatment in the context of your relationship with them?
Absolutely not. So the whole reason this deal made sense from us as an ancillary technology company, as a marketplace, is that we are working with the venture arm of Canopy Growth, which is Canopy Rivers. So for us, they will receive no special treatment than any other partner investor that we have. Our goal is to really create this agnostic, fair marketplace. That's what we've done today and will continue to do. Now just alongside, some new partners that have this complementary benefit we could key into.
So this is basically the infrastructure on the IT side for vendors of cannabis products to keep their supply chain running at optimum perfection?
Exactly. Like if you think about the way you or I purchase things online when we're home, B2C marketplaces are everywhere. And then we go to work and there are these really antiquated B2B legacy supply chains that there's no online marketplace to use. Part of what's exciting that we've created here at LeafLink, and we'll look to now move internationally expanding, is that you can go to work in this new industry and we will really begin creating and defining how the supply chain should work in a very efficient way, tech first. So like, what does that look like in 2 or 3 years in this very new space, inherently progressive, tech first community? That's what we're looking to build.
And I see you also have a human resource component in the form of your services marketplace listing. Is that a core part of the business, or is that something that you're just recently adding to the mix?
Yeah, there's a number of features that we're trying out. So services marketplace is historically LeafLink really connects brand producers, product producers with those retailers, physical items. We really have taken a bet on leading brands, CPG SKUs. But the services marketplace is a way more similar probably to like a Yellow Pages, where you can, if you're a lawyer or a consultant or some other, an accountant, but you serve the space, in pursuit of our goal of helping other companies grow that are on the LeafLink community, they can now go here and find vendors of those non-physical services, and that's what the services marketplace is. It's one of a number of new features that we launched that we're really testing the waters on to see if it makes sense for where the industry is growing, how LeafLink's growing.
I would think that this mix of incoming data from 750 vendors and 950 vendors and 2,800 retailers has got to generate a lot of data. And is there there must be a revenue stream coming from that too, I would think.
Yeah, it's a great question. So one interesting element of the data that we've processed now almost $1 billion in transactions on the platform. And within that, we can begin to create some really powerful business intelligence tools for the community. So we recently released a white paper on pricing differences in all of the 15 different states that we're live in. We also now have case studies that are tied objectively to metrics and data that we can share, that companies that we work with are comfortable with us sharing. We get approval from everyone and everything so that we can help catapult the industry forward. And so, yeah, there might be an opportunity down the line to begin to monetize that. But for us, that really hasn't been the goal. It's how can we take the information we have, brush it up, streamline it, make it digestible, usable in a way for people that are using LeafLink's platform from the get-go.
Right. So this, your wholesale cannabis pricing guide is very interesting. There was another company that made an announcement today, I don't know whether you saw it, about a wholesale cannabis marketplace called Canamerc. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, so I think that name has come up. I mean, for the way we look at it is there's a mix of marketplaces and then quasi-marketplaces that are really more of like a commodities exchange. I think some of those things are a little too complex for where the industry currently is. That could be, an opportunity a few years down the line. But yeah, we try to, stay tuned in with the marketplaces that are popping up and those that make sense for us to work alongside. Like, we're not trying to be everything to everyone. We really want to own this marketplace portion of the supply chain, and then people that are building great other data tools, ERPs, whatever it might be, we want to work alongside them just to help our clients continue to achieve their goals.
So I've heard that the market in Oregon, for example, is 100% oversupplied with cannabis. And so from where you sit, how does that market evolve without wiping out half of the cannabis suppliers and causing it to be unstable in terms of price and supply?
We talk about this a lot at LeafLink. I mean, it's interesting when you think about how regulators are creating these schematics of how supply chains start to operate. There are a lot of examples of successful ones, or more successful than others, that they could emulate from other states. But for example, Oregon, like the example you just said, had an unlimited number of licenses effectively that could be gotten by anyone and everyone for a few $1,000s. And what that's done now is you have this crazy oversupply. Most other states we serve have limited license counts. And I think that is what the industry is in the market saying makes the most sense. The one, if we're being positive on how incredibly underpriced cannabis has become in the Oregon market, it's that we're starting to see now some movement by Oregon regulators for state-to-state commerce, just so that they don't let that oversupply go onto the black market. And so that could be an interesting positive progression, good from a bad type situation. But yeah, there's still a lot of learning that's happening in each state. And we want them to continue to speak to each other, because I think that's the best way everyone could learn faster, not make the same mistakes twice.
Sure. LeafLink is currently a private company?
Yep, we're a private company, headquarters in LA and New York. And we raised our Series A about 18 months ago.
So at some point, will you serve the Canadian industry? I mean, I guess it doesn't make that much sense given the fact that it's largely government regulated, at least government administrated and sold, or does it?
Yeah. Most of it seems that way. What we're starting to see, though, is in certain provinces, they're taking on a more quasi-private positioning, which will allow for stores and some brands to grow in the way we've seen them growing in the States. I think a lot of it is still being determined. What the question that a lot of these provinces are going to have to figure out is, there's only so much state capital they can use to open up the number of shops, the number of brands to yield the highest tax rate and properly regulate the space. So what we're hearing more and more is there will be exactly what you're saying, like not too different from liquor, vertically integrated distribution in these Canadian provinces. But on top of that, to help it grow even faster, they're going to be allowing some of this private capital to come in. And I think that's ideally where our position will be. But there's also potential to, we work with regulators. We're trying to be compliant in every way possible to help them make their jobs easier and streamline the transparency they need to make sure everyone's following the rules.
Do you envision seeking a public listing on a public exchange at some point?
Like any other startup, if it makes sense, we'll do it. But we have a lot of growing to still do. Private markets are incredibly supportive of the efforts that we've set forth. So it's definitely not a near-term thing. We're at first, a technology company building great software for this space. And if we grow to the point when we do to publicly list, or it's possible in the United States, something we'll explore.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, Ryan, that's a great introduction to the company. We will follow you with interest. Good luck with your efforts, and I look forward to learning more.
Thanks so much. Yep, have a great day.
You bet. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com. I'm back here with Narbe Alexandrian. He's the president of Alexandrian. Sorry, I keep saying Alexander. He's the president of Canopy Rivers. Congratulations on your advancement to president.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah. Narbe, we recently, or earlier today, we spoke to Mr. Smith from LeafLink, and he outlined a interesting business opportunity. It's funny that, so they do basically behind the scenes logistics and fulfillment, IT kind of stuff, and I'd never heard of them before, but obviously you guys have been tracking them. So how long have you known about LeafLink, and what attracted you to the transaction?
So for the last 4 to 5 months, we've been talking to LeafLink in order to create a deal where we take their software platform that's been so successful in the US and move it over into the Canadian and international jurisdictions as well. LeafLink is a business-to-business e-commerce platform for wholesale markets. So if you're a retailer right now in the US, you're most likely using LeafLink to buy product from the variety of different brands that are out there. We did a lot of research on this topic. What we were noticing was there's a ton of brands out there, a ton of dispensaries out there, and the industry is so fragmented. You're seeing the rules coming in by the Ontario government that can create more fragmentation with the privatization of retail. And there needs to be a platform out there that helps these retailers, these dispensaries, understand what brands are out there, what companies are out there, what product reviews look like, order in bulk, and create a more of a synchronized inventory management system through the use of technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a way to stay efficient and keep your keep the supply continuous.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so then is this what you would call a typical transaction for Canopy Rivers, where you're taking a minority stake and providing assistance, exposure to the capital markets, and with an eye down the road towards some kind of an exit in the public markets?
Absolutely. So we take minority stakes only in businesses, so under 50%. We want to leave the control with the operator, leave the incentive for the operator to grow this business into becoming a billion-dollar business, whether that be through an IPO, RTO, or even through an acquisition of some sorts. When we looked at LeafLink, we looked at a group of individuals who are past successful leaders within the software tech space, have already sold something both founders had. They created a platform within the last few years that was capturing 50% of whatever market they were touching into. So they have about 16 states that they operate in currently. And we thought, why don't we take that platform, that very scalable platform, which is LeafLink, and apply it to legal jurisdictions, whether it be Canada, Australia, the UK, other parts of Europe, and create the commerce and the ecosystem for that wholesale trade within the cannabis, so that you don't have dispensaries calling up 400 brands trying to get product. Instead, they go to one resource and they can get all that information.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a bi-directional information flow too, isn't there? Because I would think that with the eyeball on all of those dispensaries, as I was saying to Mr. Smith earlier, the data feedback must be incredible in terms of customer preferences and what people are actually interested in buying.
Yeah, you really see sophistication of supply chain with some of the brands. When you look at the data, you see sales progress and how things are growing within the different brands. It really complements our investment within Headset as well. We're actually seeing what's being sold within the stores. Now you're actually seeing what's being sold on the wholesale side of things as well. So it's a good marrying of that data. Really gets you understanding of what CPG and what consumer product good or brand companies out there are the ones that are really going to succeed, and which are the ones that are tied to that growth of the cannabis industry and are just milking it for all they can do it for.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of trends, what do you see that you sort of see emerging as a result of the exposure to all this data?
I think a couple of trends come to mind. In Canada, we're going to see a move towards other ways to consume cannabis outside of smoking it. So whether it be sublingual, edible, beverages, anything that can be infused, I think this really caters towards those individuals who are on the fence of whether or not they want to use cannabis. It gives them a good entry point to try the product. in a larger macro view, I think microdosage is going to be a huge trend that we're going to see. Right now, you get an edible in the U.S. and any of the states, and it's about 100 milligrams to 250 milligrams of THC. That's crazy to think of one
That's
cookie.
bedtime for me.
Exactly. You eat a bite of a cookie, and you're told to stop when you have all that sugar rush going through you. So we see a whole trend towards microdosage, and I think Health Canada did a great job of forcing microdosage onto the whole, the draft regulations onto the new era of edibles that are coming out. And we see that being a big trend being created as well, because you want the consumer to enjoy the cannabis product without feeling like they're never going to do this again because of a bad trip or a bad situation that they had.
Right. And so when you say that Health Canada has done a good job of forcing microdosing, what is the guidance? What are the limitations in the legislation?
I think the draft legislations show that it's about 10 milligrams per dosage, which is great, because right now, again, you're seeing 100 milligrams to 250 milligrams, huge difference between the two. And when you do it that way, then you allow and you combine that with emulsification and the ability to feel the dose much quicker and get it out of your system much quicker, then you really create a strong proposition for the end consumer who understands the product, knows what's going to happen to them. It's stable in the sense that every single bite they take, they're going to expect something out of it specifically, and they'll know what the ups are and the downs are, and they can just create their own experience using what they know.
Mm-hmm. So is Canopy Rivers, as a institutional investor, most interested in what's going to happen with extracts and consumer packaged products like food and beverage? Or are there other areas that interest you more? Or are you trying to keep a more or less agnostic sort of viewpoint and be open to anything?
I mean, it's $1 million question. You have to really stay agnostic, because anything could happen in any which way. There could be a regulatory change that kicks out a bunch of edibles or beverages. There could be a mass boom in cosmetics. We think that there's two areas that we really like to focus in on right now. One would be on the cosmetic side of things. We think that's going to be pretty big. There's a ton of anecdotal evidence showing the ability of CBD to help consumers with everything from arthritis to sleeplessness to a bunch of other symptoms as well. Mm-hmm. And then we think that on the plant science side, there's a lot we can understand about the plant as well. Right now, we're doing so much within THC and CBD, but there's so many other cannabinoids that, mixed with THC and CBD and even the entourage effect of the terpenes, could provide a long list of medical characteristics for consumers out there.
Sure. People often say to me, "Oh my gosh, the cannabis market is so overbought," and I say to them, not if you consider that we're looking at a future where every man, woman, child, horse, dog, and cat might turn to cannabinoids as a remedy for one of any number of ailments. So when you think about that on the global scale and where we're at today, it's like this is still not maybe the first inning, but certainly still early in the game, second, third. And is that sort of where Canopy Rivers looks at it from at this point?
Absolutely. I personally think that CBD is going to be the biggest cannabinoid out there, more than THC has ever been. There's so much you can do with it. I have my parents, for example, my mom uses CBD cream for arthritis, and she says it's better than everything else she's ever gotten from the doctor in the past. So she's a big fan of that. There's so much application you can do with CBD, from mints to topicals to vapes, and it caters towards the sports market, the wellness market, the aging demographic as well. And there's a ton that you can do from that side of things. So I think it's going to touch upon a bunch of different areas. I'm super excited about the pet space too, because you have the ability to help your pets not freak out when there's a thunderstorm or fireworks or anything like that, and you can kind of give them the peace of mind that nothing is wrong. And then we've even seen CBD being potentially applied to in slaughterhouses before they slaughter an animal for meat to be sold in a grocery store. You give them CBD type product in order to calm them down, so their cortisol levels don't jump and you don't get gamey meat out of it as well, which is hasn't been approved yet by the regulators, but it is still a promising application of CBD.
Mm-hmm. I was reading research by Raphael Mechoulam, who is largely credited with the initiation of the study of cannabis back in 1963, a date I remember because it's the year I was born. Anyways, he issued a paper where they've done these studies on traumatic brain injury in young people, where through physical trauma, the body and the brain automatically synthesize endocannabinoids. And he's saying that with the addition of exogenous cannabinoids, certain CBD groups, that the ability of the brain to regain functionality is super enhanced. So, that's traumatic brain injury is just an area where you would think, well, I can't see how cannabis is going to help you if somebody hits you in the head, except maybe for pain. But it turns out there's a relationship there with the endocannabinoid system. So is there a risk, in your opinion, that the proliferation of CBD becomes so oversupplied because it's so easy to create from plant matter, especially if everywhere is going to be legal, that is it going to be a commoditized item that's going to be tough to make money out of X of consumer packaged goods and that retail margin?
I think over time there definitely will be commoditization. You see this in the plant space, the cannabis space in areas like Colorado, where the price per kilo is dropping over time. When we look at the market, we see it in different waves. We see the first wave being cultivation, which in Canada it's pretty much spoken for. You have the scarcity of licenses and the value of a license is slowly decreasing. But in areas such as Europe or Latin America, you're still seeing high value for cultivation assets. The next step would be the ancillary industries, companies like the headsets or the LeafLinks that are helping give the picks and shovels for the cannabis industry to become even better and get more knowledgeable. The wave 3, we see it being consumer product goods. Right now, you don't see, not a lot of businesses out there have that mind share for the end consumer. Consumers don't know the difference between the different brands yet because they haven't tried a bunch of them yet. It's still too early. So there's still a lot of space for market share to be grown. Wave 4, I think, is going to be the biggest one, which is the medicinal side. And that is wave 4 because you need a bunch of time, such as what Rafi was building out there, to get the research and the medical knowledge to the point where clinically you know that this cannabinoid is going to do that with this entourage effect of using different cannabinoids and terpenes. And then we think wave 5 is going to be mass market. And mass market is when you have 3 to 4 big companies that manage the big bulk of the market share within the industry, with a bunch of brands underneath them and a bunch of different areas underneath them as well. I think cannabis is a very undervalued asset right now in the market. If you take the top 3 companies of beverages, CPG, pharmaceuticals, beer, spirits, anything of that sort, you take the top 3 players, mash together their market caps, you're around that $200 billion to $500 billion mark. You do the same thing for cannabis, you're at $40 billion. So there's practically a decimal space in between those 2 comparisons of how big this industry can get.
You bet. All right, Narbe, let's leave it there for now. We'll come back to you soon. Thanks very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up next, Ed is going to take a look at his top 3 charts of the day, but first, take a look at this. Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered on.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really...
Recreational cannabis is here.
It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
Find out if we can test some.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, we're back here. And look who's here. Special Head Milewski.
Eddie Spaghetti.
Head is back in the seat, and Head is going to examine some of the charts.
Couple of things stick right out.
Sticking out from where?
You know, we had the. I'm going to put up this chart.
Uh-oh.
How about I put the chart up and everybody try to guess what it is?
Ooh, that's a good idea. That sounds like a fun plan, but won't it say right at the top?
Yeah, I guess it will.
Now, if you could cover that up, scroll it up a bit, and let them guess.
Well, what I found interesting here today, this is High Hampton.
Oh, okay.
High Hampton, 1.5 million shares traded today, which is
Wow, look at
Third
those volumes
most. Look at the volume spike today, and there was one yesterday. So something decided. Somebody said all of a sudden, and so it's traded from 35 cents on Friday at the low, or 34 cents, and as high as 45 and a half today. So 34 to 45 and a half, 10 out of 34. It's about a 28% move from top to bottom. But why all of a sudden here? And we had the gentleman on.
Was there a press release?
Well, all I'm saying is, if I look at this chart, I look at the volume. I say there's an echo in here for sure.
Yeah, stick with that chart, guys.
Okay, see that? See that?
Well, we can't see it because the chart's
okay, boys.
Chart.
There we go. There's your action. But then it sold. It got up into that way through the band and pulled off. But this may be an example where it pulls back to a point, maybe to start accumulating.
Well, but it's got that lovely characteristic that's always suggestive of going way higher is higher highs. And higher lows.
But then every time we get through the Bollinger Band, we sell off, and then we do it again.
Yeah, but that's a nice, healthy pattern.
Yeah, no, this is a health. Look at this pattern. Look at this
textbook.
This is like what? This is people holding hands.
That's incremental share price appreciation over time within a narrow band of volatility. That's exactly what every money manager on earth wants to see. Typically, they want to see a higher capital market cap than. So what's High Hampton's?
Gary
market
Latham
cap
was on, and he seemed very reasonable to me. Like he seemed like
sane.
a reasonable guy.
He's a sane fella.
Yeah. I think look at big volume here.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that it sold off, but it did get extended a bit.
Yeah.
Marijuana sector's hot, James.
Today is hot.
I was going to also feature the S&P chart.
Bring it up.
Well, we've already done that.
Oh, let's talk about it again now.
I wouldn't be talking about.
Let's talk about it in the context of all of the, the very bullish action in the cannabis space today, and can we correlate any sort of action in the S&P in the last 24 or today that justifies the bullishness in the cannabis space?
I'm going to put up a 1 month chart of the S&P, and there it is. And now I'm gonna get my magic wand out. My magic wand. Maybe change my name from Edward to Edwand.
Edwand. Edwin. Chart.
Okay.
All right. What do we got?
So here, look. This is a 30-day chart, and so I thought this was going to be resistance and resistance. We came down, and then we rallied back. We're sort of through it now, and it's grinding. But Dan the Man said it the other day that if he had to bet, even though it looked like we were bumping into resistance, looks like it was grinding higher. And I have to agree, it's going to grind higher and drive the shorts crazy.
Yeah, okay, well, so this is what I don't understand, and I'm sure if I don't understand it, probably I'm the only one who doesn't understand
Maybe
this.
you're the only one that doesn't.
But I look at all of the fundamental sort of news out there.
Yeah.
And what possible reason would anybody buy the S&P 500 now, except for the fact that it continues to grind higher for no explicable reason?
Well, you know what? A lot of the things I've been reading talk about what's the Fed going to do, because when they said a while back about raising rates and they raised them, the market got destroyed in December, and then they said, you know what? I think we've been a little premature here talking about raising rates. So it seems like it's all about what the Fed's going to do. Is the Fed going to keep tightening, or is it going to loosen it up?
Is that like what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do?
Yeah, well, Jesus
would go short the S&P.
He doesn't care about money.
No, he didn't. He didn't? I thought, what about the gold, frankincense, and myrrh stuff at his birth?
Yeah, well, that was presents.
Presents,
That's
exactly.
presents for Joseph.
He wasn't happy about the presents? Well, I guess he was a baby, didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So S&P does look like it's broken.
You're at a loss for words, I would say. Jesus. Hope they legalize cocaine next. That'll fix your wagon. You won't be at a loss for words then.
That's all I need. Let's go down that road.
A fresh bad habit. New addictions.
A new old bad habit.
I see. What are you? You're a Trojan from the wars, are you?
Trojan.
Yeah. A little.
Yeah, whatever. So there's a couple, and
Great.
but one more little thing I want to throw out here.
Yes.
And this is something we know about. It's in the energy game. The gentleman, Paul Gezi.
Oh, yes.
I would just want to point something out on this one. This one's a.
Okay, so this is an energy
This
technology
is Chiron.
company.
Not Chiron. Sorry, that's Control Energy. KRN. Okay.
Chiron's KHRN.
CNX. I know.
You sure? You just know now because I told you.
I don't know anything.
You know what's going on here.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I'm going to pull up the audience because we have not addressed the audience today, and that's just kind of criminal. I'm going to try to turn off my sound before I do that. Oh, there we are. All right.
Okay. Just a minute. This is important.
Okay. Oh, Tilroy earnings are out. That's right. It's the 18th. Let's go look at that. You get your chart.
Yeah, I got
organized.
my chart. I got it organized now.
You got your chart ready?
Yeah.
Cedar Tilray. I'm going to pull up the Tilray financials here.
So the point I want to make about this thing, and we got a minute here.
Oh.
We got a 2-year chart, of Control Energy, and look, the last 3 days, excluding today, we traded the most by far. So why all of a sudden is there big volume going into this? Like that stands out like a sore thumb. You see that?
Nope.
The volume here, that volume spike, that's 3 days. In the last 2 years, it hasn't even approached that. And so the stock's up a little bit, maybe the beginning of a major trend because something's changed here. The volume's telling us that. I don't know what's changed, but something's changed. Anyway,
Have you spoken to Paul Gezi?
Yeah, I've spoken to him. They've made an acquisition. It's accretive. There's more cash flow. It's growing. Not exponentially like these marijuana stocks, but it's growing. It's growing. I think the run rate for the last quarter was $4 million, and I think he's thinking that, a year from now it could be $8 to $10 million. Anyway, so and that's the revenue, not earnings. Okay.
Right.
So what were you you were mentioning something?
Well, somebody posted that Tilray earnings were out. And,
Okay, let's take a look.
And
I want to see what Tilray
they
is.
aren't. They are not. At least they're not on CDAR, which is where they would theoretically be released first. So I don't know.
Tilray, is it?
Tilray's last press release last filing was an 8K, where they completed the acquisition or disposition of Natura Naturals. So somebody made that comment in our audience section, and they are wrong.
Well, Tilray would be flashing across the street if earnings were out and there was any surprises, good or bad. The stock would be printing like there's no tomorrow. I don't see any trades going through.
Yeah. Carl Bowden, how are you, Carl? Hopefully the Tilray report won't take weed stocks tomorrow. Tank, I think he meant. So maybe they're planning to put out, if they're going to put out the financials.
Maybe it's out at 5 o'clock tonight.
Yeah,
sometimes they say we're going to be out at 5.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, it'd be nice if they do it before the end of the show so we could have a sneak peek at that.
Sneak peek?
Sneak peek. Well, or we could just talk about it ad infinitum at length.
I'm just going to see if I can't get any. Whoa, they're showing up $4 in the aftermarket. So the stock closed at $72.24. It's now showing 76 bid.
Where is everybody finding the financials if they're not actually on the SEC website?
Now we know why I checked my phone. Reports full year financial results. They're out. Results are out for the year.
Okay, so they've put out a press release, but they didn't actually post the financials.
Yes, they did.
Well, where are they posted if not on CDAR and SEC?
The press release is out summarizing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the issue I take. If you're going to put out a press release summarizing them, you need to put that out at the same time as the financial statements themselves, because the press release is a subjective interpretation of how good the financials are from the company's own perspective. So this is why, if you're putting out your press release saying the financials are out and it's good news, shouldn't we be the judge of that? Okay, so I guess they're on their website is where they put them out first. Don't they have an obligation to file them on the regulatory thing first? Anyways, let's see. Revenue increased to 43.1 million, up 110% compared to last year for the full year. Increase driven by bulk sales, in other words, i.e. small margin, the inaugural sales for the Canadian adult use market, and accelerated wholesale distribution in exports. Okay, we love to have some color on that. Where are they exporting to? Total kilogram equivalents sold increased twofold.
I can tell you that this stock has not been this high.
What, Tilroy?
I'm just saying, if it's trading at 76, we haven't seen 76 for roughly
5 days?
15.
15 days.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But it did get down. Remember, it was downgraded, and it dropped down to $64.
Yeah.
Now it's $76.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to Tilray tomorrow and have a good look at their financials.
That'll be a chart. We'll feature that chart tomorrow.
Chart and financials tomorrow on Tilray. Hey, joining me now via Skype from Vancouver is Deepak Anand, who's now the CEO and co-founder of Materia Ventures. Deepak, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I am great. So you've got a new corporate gig.
I do, yes.
Tell us about that.
So Materia Ventures is a company set up to deal with the supply and distribution market in Europe. We've got a number of supply and distribution agreements in place in Germany, in the UK, in Italy, and a variety of other countries.
Really? So you've been traveling the world. You're probably one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to new rules and new places. Where do you see the most interesting stuff happening in terms of what new rules are coming out now? Like, where are there new rules happening?
A variety of different countries coming up, James, with a variety of countries coming online. Thailand, as you know, recently said they're going to allow for this to happen and be cultivated in Thailand. In addition to that, we're paying very close attention to Luxembourg that said they're going to be legalizing not just medical but also recreational cannabis. Gibraltar, the island of Gibraltar, is looking at cannabis legalization quite seriously. And Laos is another country that seems to be moving forward. So many new jurisdictions coming online soon here.
Oh, very cool. Have you done anything in Peru? I hear Peru's coming online now.
Yes, Peru seems to be, really gaining some movement. We've seen a couple of licensed producers set up supply there. Fire and Flower, I think, recently made an announcement that they were doing something there. We've got our eyes on it, and we've got some agreements that we'll be putting into place very shortly here.
Oh, very good. Okay, so you also are on now the board of Cannabis International.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So how'd you land that gig, and what's happening with Cannabis?
Cannabis is up to a variety of different things. I recently joined their board last week. I've known a couple of the founders and operators really well. They seem to be doing a number of things in Colombia and Latin America. Many announcements to come soon. They're obviously very involved in the CBD side. I just look at CBD and you look at the opportunity globally, and this is something that is propelling at an insane rate. Whilst Canada has a number of restrictions around what you can do with CBD, the U.S. market seems to be, opening up. You heard Bruce Linton recently talk about New York and the opportunities in New York for CBD. I look at this on a global scale, particularly Europe, where Materia is based, and that market too has a tremendous potential. And I think what Cannabis is doing is setting up a number of Latin American assets to take advantage of the CBD market, and they've got some very interesting assets and announcements coming out in place. Okay,
fantastic. Tell me, what is the landscape going to look like for the international trade in cannabinoids, CBDs, dried flower? I mean, at this point, it seems like yes, Canada can export to Europe and certain countries can import from anywhere. The United States is, for all intents and purposes, a closed border at this point, except for research purposes. But what is that whole international trade going to look like in cannabis? And when is it going to evolve into something that more resembles normal international trade?
Yeah, unfortunately, James, you're right. There's not going to be much trade, at least between Canada and the U.S. Anytime soon on medical cannabis. Recently, there was a couple of things that happened that seem to be moving in the right direction, although these things are going to take years before they actually develop. The WHO, which is the World Health Organization, released a report and talked about amending the scheduling of cannabis. Right now, it's in a very restrictive schedule. The weird sort of part of this is that while CBD was never really under any schedule, most people assumed that CBD was scheduled. It was actually never under a schedule. It was the up to 0.3% THC part that remained in schedules, and a number of countries were not permitted to trade in anything that had CBD because it contained either between 0.1 or 0.3% of THC. And so the World Health Organization has sort of one of the things that they've recommended is completely removing that element of up to 0.3 milligrams percent of THC to be taken off the schedule. In addition to that, they've looked at rescheduling of cannabis so that it can be dealt with, differently, and especially on the THC side, that more research can happen. These things are going to take, 4 or 5 years to figure out if that. But nonetheless, these are steps in the right direction. If you look at Europe, on the other hand, that's where, the reason we've set up Materia is there's a lot of opportunity in that market. CBD is a novel food in that jurisdiction. If you walk across, pharmacies in the UK, you'll see CBD-based products on shelves. They don't make any sort of claims in terms of health claims, but you'll see everything from creams to ointments to balms to tinctures in a variety of different forms available in the UK. In Germany, it's even sort of further than that. You see shampoos and you see ointments and you see a variety of different things with CBD. So Europe's really got some interesting opportunities, and because of this trade across borders, because Europe is considered one market from a customs union perspective, you can move CBD from Bulgaria and Romania into Germany and other markets, and that seems to be what people are doing right now. So there's certainly a sophisticated market for CBD and some real opportunities in that space.
Mm-hmm. All right. Will the World Health Organization rescheduling of THC and CBD, they've declined to do that at the most recent meeting, but is that something that will really have an effect on opening up international borders?
Once these things shake out, James, it is most likely going to do that. The World Health Organization only makes recommendations. There's a Commission on Narcotic Drugs called the CND, which most countries are signatory to, and this is a group that works within the UN. The challenge becomes is we're signatory to treaties on the UN that was signed in 1961 and 1971. That was a single convention on narcotic drugs, and this body, the CND, is the one that would be responsible for amending of those regulations should they choose to go with what the World Health Organization is recommending they do. We've got a meeting coming up here shortly in the next month. There will be a variety of other meetings. These things seem to happen on a consensus basis versus a voting basis, and you've got a number of countries like Saudi Arabia and Russia that will continue to oppose these things, but we're getting momentum. With the number of countries that are coming online looking at scheduling medical cannabis, at least we're moving in the right direction as far as the international policy arguments are concerned. Another thing of interest, James, is the European Union and the EC Commission recently said that they want to come up with a harmonized framework for all 27 member states to follow. That's another thing that we're watching very closely, because that will have impact on how countries go about legalizing medical cannabis within the European Union, and they're moving towards that as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's looking more and more like, at this point anyways, that the U.S. is really like the third world country in this whole thing, in that, they've got this problem where they can legalize it in states where there's not a sort of moral majority issue, but they can't, for the life of them, reflect the majority's consensus in a national policy, which is ultimately going to hurt them very, very much financially in terms of the missed opportunity, and to the point where we've seen certain entrepreneurs in the United States publish full-page ads in the likes of the Wall Street Journal imploring the president to, to do something so that the U.S. doesn't miss out on this great economic boon that the rest of the world is jumping all over. Is there any indication that the U.S. is going to soften its stance on a national basis anytime soon?
Oh, it doesn't look like it. I mean, on the one hand, you've got the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, sending out a whole bunch of warnings to people that are dealing with CBD, especially saying you can't really add it to food. This rolls back a number of things that states have done. So on the one hand, you've got the Food and Drug Administration that's got a very aggressive sort of stance on this. But on the flip side, you've got a number of political parties, leading up to the next election, really making an issue out of this. We saw John Boehner just yesterday come out and say that, he thinks that we've held back on research by sort of controlling the way that cannabis has been regulated. I think this is going to become an election issue for the next election, and I think that's when you'll see the pendulum shift. I caution people that probably think that the U.S. is not going to be a significant player. Keep in mind these MSOs or multi-state operators are very sophisticated in what they're doing. They're slowly but surely really ramping up their production. You look at it from a branding and a marketing perspective. I mean, California is doing a fantastic job as far as brands are concerned. So the day that switch is flipped, the U.S. is going to be a significant power. I mean, there's a number of massive cannabis multi-state operators that are functioning within the U.S. that would really light up the world once they're allowed to do that. So I expect that to happen fairly shortly, at least on a medical perspective.
Sure. Okay. Great, Deepak. Well, I can't wait to see you in the flesh again. When are you coming to Toronto next?
Soon, next month, I'm going to be speaking at the BMO Investor Conference, so I'm sure we'll catch up with you then.
Perfect. Most definitely. All right, Deepak, we'll leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Always an informative interview.
Knows a lot. That guy knows a lot.
Yes. Well, he travels the world continuously. He's always on an airplane. I mean, if
Was
there's
he on
anybody...
an plane? Was he on a plane now?
He's not on a plane. He's in Vancouver.
Okay, well, he's not...
Because he just took a directorship. He's got to stay off the plane for a while to do that.
Okay. I thought you just said he was always on a plane.
Almost always.
Okay.
You're a real stickler for those...
bit of stickler.
Bit of a stickler.
Stickler.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's say hello to some of our audience. Keith Porter here says the U.S. is archaic with their laws. Couldn't agree more. Dan S. is asking, what is the allure to mining? It feels ancient. Well, I think next to prostitution, mining was the original industry, wasn't it?
You can't transfer energy without copper. No copper, you live in caves.
No copper, we live in caves?
Yeah.
Copper caves?
No, just caves.
Tantalum caves? Caves?
Chiron is $3.95.
I know. Chiron closed, had a big day.
There's things gurgling.
Remember
here.
last week I said to you, this thing looks like it's going higher.
And I said, maybe equilibrium here.
Yeah.
Equilibrium. He said, Jesus. Okay.
No, but you know the reason I said it was going, I think it's going higher, because I knew they were going to that conference in Italy, and that it's an expo, a cosmetics expo.
Yeah.
And everybody's going crazy for, as Deepak just told us, everybody's going crazy for CBD infused cosmetics in Europe. Jesus. Because they don't have this kind of like push me, pull you, passive aggressive attitude towards cannabinoids. They're full speed ahead. So, it's interesting. The whole U.S. thing I see is, the MSOs are coming on strong, yeah, but so still 9 out of 10 dispensaries in California are illegal. Oregon's still operating at 100% of capacity, making it very tough for anybody to make money there. Half of the counties in California are no-go zones for dispensaries.
Is it half or is it more than half?
Well, it depends how much of a stickler you're going to be. No.
Because I was thinking
by county survey.
It wasn't 1 out of 10 was pro and 9 out of 10 are against. It's roughly half and half.
Roughly half of the counties in the state of California do not permit any cannabis operations. Yeah. And of the counties that do permit cannabis operations, about half of the municipalities within those pro-cannabis counties don't allow cannabis operations. Boy, why is that so hard to say? I don't know.
Yeah. I just checked Tilray just to see what was going on because it's a big one in the States.
Aftermarket.
And it was up to 76.5 in the aftermarket. Now I look at it, it's around 74.90. So it's backed off a little, but that's still a couple bucks up on the day.
Well,
so far, those results are being viewed as positive.
Okay, well, I'm still looking
tomorrow,
at the
we're going to look tomorrow.
It's not on Edgar.
Edgar is in Canada.
No, Edgar's in the U.S.
That's right.
Cedar's in Canada. You're a real stickler.
In both, Ed's in both of them. Cedar.
Said.
S-E-D.
R.
Edgar.
Ed.
See?
Gar.
Can't get rid of me.
Well, you've got two
you're
letters.
You're going to try. I got two letters.
Actually, everything in the past ends with Ed. Tasted. Fled. Departed.
Bread.
Bread is not a... It's a noun. You can't have a past tense noun.
No.
Oh, bread, as in like procreated. Oh, as in B-R-E-D, sans A. Ooh, very fancy, Ed. Very fancy indeed.
Very fancy. Red.
Damn.
Red.
Damn.
So, what are we going to do now?
Well, it's 4:30, and typically that's where I implore the gathered audience here to please hit the little subscribe button. We need to get to 100,000 because a pretty famous celebrity said to me, "I'll come on your show when you get to 100,000 subscribers." So I'd like to get there fast.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm working so hard at it that we're going to be shooting live from the YouTube studio in Los Angeles, the YouTube studio in New York, the YouTube studio in Berlin, London, Paris. We're going to Paris, Ed.
Did you notice the Canadian lady from Mississauga won a tournament yesterday and this is a very prestigious tournament, tennis. This is big. We've got a new tennis diva.
What's her name?
Her name is Bianca. It's not the easiest word to pronounce, but it ends with skew. As in, I think it's a Romanian name. No, that would be ski.
Anyway. Guess what? We've gone past our allotted time, and now we are going to go dark. See y'all tomorrow.